Dobry wieczór. Voilà, usem. Daste nocoi priszli. I wanted to say at least one sentence in Slovenia before I left. Are you all clapping because now I'll leave? And some of you at least understood what I said, right? But it is true that Sharon Thomas and I, while we're delighted you're all here, this will be our last July 4th. And in fact, it'll be the last July 4th in Slovenia for many of the Americans in our embassy, including my terrific Deputy Chief of Mission, Gene Young. His wife, Zoe, will be sticking around, which is fortunate for her and devastating for him. But for many of us, and I won't go through the whole list of everyone who's leaving, because I'm certain I'll forget someone and then that person will be pissed off with me for the next 10 years. But all of the Americans who are leaving this year have been really remarkable colleagues, friends, good people, dedicated. They've done a lot of good work, I think, for America and Slovenia. And we're all going to very much miss Slovenia. And I know that often some people think that I do nothing but complain or criticize Slovenia. And that whenever I open my mouth, I'm saying this should be fixed, or this should be fixed, or this could be improved. And so tonight it's different. Instead of talking about what I think is wrong with Slovenia, I thought instead I'd talk about what's wrong with me and what Slovenia has done to fix me. And so I drew up a list of 10 things, my top 10 list of things that Slovenia has helped me be a better person. But there's actually only 7 things on the list. And I know some will say that's because there's not 10 good things about Slovenia, but it's really that it's impossible for me to learn things, like even a simple sentence in Slovene. So 7 things is remarkable, and frankly, 7 things is probably more than most Slovenes would figure out about their own country. So let me say that that brings me to the first thing that I've learned about Slovenia, which is dissatisfaction is often a virtue. And conversely, being like me, being too content, too complacent, too optimistic is sometimes a vice. It is the dissatisfied who are the real heroes who change the world. A good friend once complained to me, "Joe, if people like you ruled the world, we'd all still live in caves and be brushing our teeth with tree branches." So it is not good to always be too satisfied, too willing to go along with things when things could be better. Of course, the opposite is also true. If you're too pessimistic, too dissatisfied, you give up completely and you don't try to improve your country or lives at all. But my weakness, to always think things are good enough, is equally flawed. So thank you, Slovenians, for helping me balance my irrational exuberance with a more mature outlook on life. The second thing I've learned, this is more serious. Exercise is not always a punishment. That you can actually enjoy a hike or a marathon. It has been a real revelation that it is not a violation of my human rights to have to ride a bike or spend a day in the mountains. That there is something good and healthy about sports and nature. This was honestly a real shock. I always had a more Hobbesian view of nature as something inherently evil that we should control and bend to our will. But now I see that living in harmony with nature and maintaining at least a semblance of exercise is better than my lazier lifestyle. Of course, I'm still pretty flabby, but thanks to my Slovene friends, I am in far better shape than I otherwise would be. Which brings me to the third thing I have learned. I often tell Americans that if they bump into somebody who speaks better English than they do, then it's almost certainly a Slovene. Your foreign language skills are incredible. I've never met people who are more talented in foreign languages. And yet I have been humbled to learn that some simple English words that I thought I knew well, I didn't really know at all. Most of these words have to do with distance, like oh, that is a short distance from here. Or, don't worry, that isn't too far. Or adverbs like easy or quickly. But my very favorite English word is the term stroll. I recall vividly the first time a good Slovene friend invited Sharon and me to take a brief stroll around Lake Bled. Honestly, I had never realized that stroll means climbing straight up a mountainside, followed by a death march of several kilometers. Is Matej here, or is he having a stroll on Triglav? Yeah. So again, I'm thankful that Slovenes have improved my English skills. Of course, Slovenes have also helped me improve my pathetic Slovene language skills, which I've already displayed to you. I'm embarrassed, honestly, by how I have failed to learn much, but I have learned the three most important terms. The first is cool, which at first I thought was the same as cool, but now I understand there's really some really nice, subtle nuance and differences to it. And then there is super. Again, almost the same as the dull English super, but it's packed with greater emphasis and energy. But my very favorite term, I actually learned from Facebook. A few months ago, I saw some photographs of me on Facebook with this one word emblazoned underneath my face. So I immediately figured out, because I'm really bright, that since it was right beneath my photograph, that it must mean, we love you, or maybe, please never leave us. And the word was, I can't say it. My staff has told me if I pronounce it correctly, I'll be in trouble. But anyway, I'm sure it means you guys love me. A fifth thing. A fifth thing I have learned. Be polite to people even when disagreeing with them. I've been genuinely amazed how kind and polite Slovenes are to me, even when they disagree with me. Slovenes are so polite that I now realize that in my own life I should have been better to many people I don't like and don't agree with. This politeness to foreigners is a truly wonderful gift, and it shows more than anything, I think, the graciousness of the Slovene people. I've never met an American who has not been captivated by how kindly they are treated here. Of course, I wish Slovenes treated each other as nicely as they treat us foreigners, but still, it takes a great deal of decency to treat foreigners, especially ones as obnoxious as me, with such courtesy. So thank you for your kindness toward me and teaching me this lesson. And sixth, there is a fundamental difference between being shy and being rude. I am ashamed that when I first arrived in Slovenia, I was upset at how many people did not return my greetings. I would go on walks with Sharon's and we would say, Dober dan, dober dan, dober dan, to everyone we met, but only a small number actually responded. I took this for rudeness, but I was wrong. I see now that some people are sincerely shy. There are many Slovenes who are very strong introverts, and to even say hi is a painful task. It is. And I was wrong to judge them as rude simply because they were uncomfortable meeting the eyes of a stranger and saying Dober dan, especially when I was probably mispronouncing it. I have often complained that others being judgmental and always assuming the worst about people. So I think it's fitting that I confess that I have been guilty of the same vice, to think the worst of someone when I should always think the best. And finally, the seventh most important thing I have learned from the people of Slovenia, that it is actually possible. I didn't think this was scientifically possible, but it is actually possible to like both children and dogs simultaneously. This may sound silly, but it's an important truth. Before we arrived, Sharon and I had heard how much Slovenes love their pets, especially their dogs. And even though we have a dog, which irrationally Sharon and Thomas love very much, we were worried, because we had heard that there are other neighboring countries, they also love their dogs, but they're not so tolerant of children. Dogs could be welcomed in restaurants, but the children should stay out on leashes. So, given Slovenia's proximity to those other countries, we wondered how Thomas would be treated. So imagine our delight when we discovered how loving and caring Slovenes are to children, both their own and others. I have never known parents who dote on their children more, who take more joy in their children, and who are more willing to sacrifice to ensure their future. Which is why, honestly, I don't worry about Slovenia. It is simply not possible that a people who love their children so much can fail. This next generation of Slovenes will be brought up to love and be loved, to accept other people who disagree with them, and to honor each other as they have been loved and honored by their parents. I have learned that Slovenes are the best of parents, and that the children of Slovenia are a great gift, and they will ensure that Slovenia becomes an even more tolerant, open, forgiving, and happy society. To conclude, we all know that the problems besetting this amazing nation will not dissolve and disappear overnight. The lack of confidence in government, the need for economic reform, the urgency of bringing to justice those who plunder the economy, the crucial importance of true reconciliation and mutual respect. But you are honest, decent, hardworking, caring, devoted, committed. You want what is best for your children and your neighbors, so none should give up hope. As the great American author William Faulkner once put it, you will not merely endure, you will prevail. So, very brief toast. Got your champagne? Good. Thomas, where's your champagne? God bless America and Bog blagoslovi Slovenia.